I'm really curious, what's the biggest mindset difference that you see from people who are building wealth versus people who stay stuck in scarcity?
I think it's the desire and comfort with discomfort. So you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because what is the worst thing for anything, frankly, any human, any object, any animal, whatever? It's change. We are creatures of habit. It is nice to wake up and know exactly what's going to happen, right? That is why people stay at jobs for longer than they should. It's why they stay in relationships for longer than they probably should. It is why people are, when they're scared and they don't know what to do, they're like, I guess I'll just keep doing exactly what I'm currently doing and change nothing. But changing nothing can mean you are stuck in what my friend Susie Welch likes to call a B+ life. She's a professor at NYU. And the way she explained it was, if you have like a C- life, everything kind of sucks, right? You don't live where you want to live. You don't have reliable transportation. You don't get to go on trips. You don't really have friends. Everything sucks. And you are so motivated to change it. And if you have an A+ life, everything is amazing. You get to do what you want to do. You are incredibly incentivized to keep that life. But a B+ life is the most dangerous one, because it is one where you could tread water for years. And you could get stuck in a life that you are not fully satisfied in, but isn't so terrible that you feel compelled to change it. And so I think the difference between people who are able to grow wealth and the people who stay stuck is being able to recognize that you have to give up good to have great.
I've heard this so many times when I've done my events that a lot of people will tell me, Lewis, I make 120 grand a year.
Yeah.
I've got 2 beautiful kids.
Yeah.
I've been married for 8 to 10 years. My life is really good. And something's missing. I feel a little miserable because it is good. And you think like anyone looking at this person would say, man, you've got a great life. Why don't you just appreciate and enjoy it? But they know they're not reaching into some type of potential that they could be doing, or they're in a career that they enjoy, but it's really not what's been gnawing at them emotionally. It's not what's been on their heart to go pursue, at least doing something on the side. And they just stay comfortable. And I think when people stay comfortable and they're not willing to just constantly reinvest in their personal growth, constantly reinvest in learning about the financial opportunities in front of them, or taking the risks, which is a financial investment as well, taking that emotional risk or trying something new, that B+ life is scary, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Maybe they like it for a while, but then eventually they think something's off.
I think we have to remember also, growth has growing pains. You of all people, as tall as you are, probably remember being a teen, and your knees hurt.
My knees hurt so bad. I was just going to say this, like for years, as teen, I was like, my knees are in pain.
But I think we all talk about like growth being this wonderful flower sprouting out of the No, growing sucks. It hurts. Sometimes it leaves stretch marks. Sometimes sometimes it's not so fun. Sometimes, you overnight are in a shirt that is just a little too small. And I think we have to remember that like growth does not happen overnight, but it also, when it does happen, isn't comfortable. It's not easy. And sometimes it hurts.
It hurts. It always hurts.
Yeah.
I feel like it's always going to hurt.
It always hurts.
And that's why people stay stuck being comfortable in that B+ life. How many people do you think are living a B+ life right now in America?
Most of them.
Really?
Yeah. I think probably at least half. I would say there's a certain set of the population that is really, really gutting it out right now. They are having an incredibly hard time. They've had an incredibly hard time for quite some time now. And they are really, really hand to mouth trying to make things happen.
Day by day, month by month.
These are not the people I'm talking about.
No.
There's also a subset of Americans that are living a life beyond anybody's wildest imagination.
Kings.
But the vast majority of people fall into this B+ life. And similarly to immediately after COVID, I think over the next 5 years, we are going to see both a financial K-shaped divergence as well as a overall like lifestyle satisfaction K-shaped divergence.
What does that mean?
So a K-shaped divergence is just an economic principle that like outcomes will be different for different people. So post-COVID, right? There was a K-shaped economic divergence in that the white collar professionals that got to stay home saw this incredible growth in the stock market, their jobs, elevated, they got more opportunities because they got to work from home. Everything was going well in their life. And then the folks who didn't have money to invest during COVID, who were working many of those essential jobs, like we have to really, really call out the privilege here, they gutted it out. They put their lives on the line and were no better off for it. In fact, many were worse off for it because they had long-term medical illnesses, conditions that, long COVID. They ended up in positions where they felt like their careers had stagnated, even though they had put so much on the line. We were, banging pots and pans for them at 8 p.m. or whatever. And then America rolled over one night and said, we don't care anymore. And so there was this huge divergence of people, the haves and the have-nots, and it got greater. And I think what I'm saying is right now, I think our middle class is shrinking. And it will be a K-shaped divergence. More people will go into that category of kings, and more people will go into that category of really suffering. Financials. Let's talk financials. But also from an emotional perspective of there will be people who figure it out, people who are able to find financial stability and security, and they are going to have a much happier life than they would had they stayed at B+. But then there's also a group of people who aren't going to be able to figure it out, either because they choose not to, they don't have access to the resources, which I think is really the shame here, but their life is going to get meaningfully worse. And you are going to see people continuously over the course of the next couple decades wake up one day in their 40s or 50s after, a lot of their working years and look at themselves in the mirror and be like, what happened?
And have nothing to show for.
Nothing to show for.
No savings, no investments, just kind of what happened.
Like I ran on that treadmill for 20 years and I have not moved.
Whew.
You aren't running on a track, you're running on a treadmill.
Oh man, that's painful. When you look
So
back
painful.
and you see decades of your life.
So painful.
And you haven't improved.
Yeah.
That is painful. What do you think is the difference then between the two people who are watching or listening right now who are financially struggling? Let's say they're at zero or they're in debt, negative.
Yeah.
They're in their 20s or they're in their 30s, and they're both at a similar standpoint around financial freedom. They don't have it, and they're struggling.
Yeah.
What is the difference between the one person who goes out from this moment and over the next 5 to 7 years creates a surplus of financial abundance for their lives, and the one that stays stuck and suffers over and over again for the next 5 to 7 years? What is the difference between those two types of people? One who goes and creates financial freedom and the other who doesn't, where they both have the same starting point.
One of them makes a plan. And I think it's really that simple because the person who doesn't make a plan is going to one weekend be so motivated. They're going to try and like crash diet their financial life. And they are going to try and change 1,000 things at once. They're going to get confused. They're going to get overwhelmed. And then they're going to put it back on the shelf and they're not going to look at it for another 12 months. Then they're going to be 12 months further behind. The person who actually makes the plan realizes that the changes that are needed are so vast, they cannot be accomplished in one weekend.
Yeah.
So they're going to say, okay, I have all of these things that I need to fix about my life right now. I can only do 2 of them this weekend. So maybe they only do 1 of them, frankly, because they do the one and they get overwhelmed. But they say, all right, the second one is on my calendar for next Friday afternoon. After I'm wrapped with work, I'm going to just spend an extra 30 minutes at my desk. I'm going to figure this out. They're going to do that one little thing. They're going to have this plan. And this plan is actually going to change because we are not even comparing the person who doesn't make a plan and the plan that the other person makes today. We're comparing this person who's made a plan and in 3 months' time realizes their plan was off course and they're going to recalculating. And then 3 months later, it's going to be the GPS going recalculating. And then 3 months later, it's going to be recalculating. And all of a sudden, each of these little milestones of financial security and stability, maybe they get a really, really solid savings base. Maybe they picked up a side hustle and said, I'm only going to do this for 6 months, but I am just going to break my back for 6 months. I am going to get an emergency fund. Great. They get the emergency fund. 3 months from now, they're like, oh, well, now that I have the emergency fund, I don't need this job anymore.
Right.
I can go get the right job, not the right now job. And they level up their career. Okay. Now that they've leveled up their career, they're like, wait, my company is actually going to match my 401k, because my last company didn't do that. Now suddenly they're getting free money coming in the door. Now they're going to, oh, well, now that I'm really starting to prepare for retirement, like I can actually be in a position to have a conversation about marrying this person that I'm so in love with. They're starting to look at rings. Now they're looking, okay, well, now that I have some retirement savings, I'm investing in those. I have a career I like. I've built this emergency fund. Let's start talking about a family. And it's each of these iterations. It is not the plan you make today that changes your life. It's the plan that you make every single time you change the plan. And that iteration, this person who didn't make a plan is going to look in 10 years, and this trajectory is going to look unfathomable, because it is. You can't just, it's kind of like when they tell these like rock climbers, like you can't just climb up the sheer cliff face. You have to kind of zigzag back and forth. You have to like get to a little stopping point. That is exactly what we're doing here. You cannot just go straight up unless there's some sort of elevator that can take you there. And that is called generational wealth. And if you don't have it, you're kind of SOL at this point, because you're either born with it or you're not. Unless you have an elevator, you are going to have to zig and zag. But everybody else looking out and zooming out from that picture is just going to see a straight line up.
Yeah, for me, I feel like 15, 17 years ago when I was broke on my sister's couch, I didn't understand money and I was afraid of it.
Yeah.
We talked about this on
We talked
your
about
show.
this on my podcast.
And it was really scary to me. It was really daunting. And I felt like it was a language that I didn't even comprehend. I barely understood it. I understood the basic words and that was about it. But I couldn't speak with anyone who was fluent about money.
Yeah.
And and I'm still 15, 17 years later, I guess I'm fluent in some ways, but now being married and having children, there's new levels of financial literacy that I'm still not educated in, that I still have to continue to invest and learn and figure out new game plans at this level for my future based on where my life is at now. It's different from 10, 15 years ago. And I'm constantly learning.
Do you even recognize that guy from 10
Gosh, it is so unrecognizable. I'm so grateful that I had a plan, because you're saying that and I'm thinking about myself back then. I'm like, okay, I have lots of friends that were broke, just like me. They're just like me at 24, 25, like, what are we doing?
Which, by the way, that's normal.
Yeah, of course, it's normal. Like what 22-year-old, 24-year-old has money? Unless your parents gave it to you, you don't have it. And I wasn't educated on it. I didn't go to class that taught me about money or financial literacy. And so I felt very insecure, very dumb around money. And I started just seeking mentors, just people that knew a little bit more than me, and started learning from them. I started reading books. I started, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Ramit Sethi's book helped me get out of my college debt. And I started, okay, let me automate this process instead of paying the bills myself monthly. Let me like one step at a time. 1 month, 1 year at a time. And then I could look back and see how far I'd grown and what I'd accomplished and the inner peace that I gained from learning a little bit. And every year, I feel like I'm constantly leveling up my game plan around money. And it gives me more peace and freedom internally, which hopefully continues to give me more external peace and freedom financially.
Before we started this episode, you showed me a beautiful picture of your daughters. They look like little jelly beans. They're so small and cute and adorable. Imagine the man you will be when they are in high school.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna be rocking and rolling right now because I'm just like, I feel like I'm so much farther ahead before they were born.
Yeah.
And I was in the NICU. One of my daughters was in the NICU for a few days, and I was in the NICU, and there was probably an 18 or 19-year-old couple in there who just had like a child as well. And I was talking with this guy, just he was either high school or maybe just out of high school. And I was talking to him. I was like, congrats, Dad. And their daughter was really premature. And I was just looking at, he was in, what are those shoes that the younger generation wears? Are they Crocs?
Yeah, they're Crocs.
Yeah, I'm like, he's wearing Crocs with like bedazzled, right?
Yeah.
And it looks like my nephew or something. It looks like my nephew, right?
Yeah.
Like just out of high school. And I'm like, you're like my nephew right now, who's just out of high school, who has no clue what's happening in life. Like the nicest kid, but doesn't know anything about money.
Nope.
Doesn't know anything how to take care of himself, really. Doesn't know how to he's just figuring out life like I was at 20, 22. And I'm like, this kid is having a child right now.
Yeah.
And he seemed like so excited to be a dad. He's like, I'm going to do everything I can for my baby girl. But this kid didn't have any financial literacy. He was coming from a few hours away in a smaller town in California. And I could tell he didn't come from a lot of money.
Yeah.
He didn't have a lot of money, and he was a child. And I was like, if I had a kid at 18, 19, I would be screwed in terms of like, I wouldn't have been able to set my kids up
in the way that you want
the
now.
way that I want to now, and the way that I could now and can now, hopefully if I stay healthy and things go well. I have more literacy around finances. I have a better emotional relationship with money. And I feel like I have set my life up in place to be more organized with a game plan, like you said, to structure my life for the next 20, 30, 50 years, to have financial peace. Maybe I'm not going to be this billionaire or something, but I'm going to be financially free as long as I don't do anything stupid or mess something up or who knows, whatever. But I have a game plan.
I think we should also have a conversation around like how having the $1 billion should not be your end goal.
No.
By the way.
It's not my dream.
It's not.
If it happens, cool.
I feel like I cannot state this enough, but like having a lot of money does not make you rich. Actually, you can have a lot of money and be incredibly poor because if one, you can't bring anything else to the table, you are an incredibly poor person. But two, if you don't know what is enough, you'll never get there.
Yes.
You'll never be satisfied.
Gosh.
And if you can never be satisfied, you're forever going to be the poorest man on earth.
Yeah, you're not rich. You're not living a rich life.
Never rich.
And there's one thing to be said for like, okay, I want to continue to grow and contribute and bring value to myself and others. And I'm doing it for the game of like building a number or something or building a business. But if you don't feel enough and you have to keep making more money to fulfill something, you're a poor person.
Yeah.
It's like you've got some wound inside of you.
Exactly.
That is
We talked about these money wounds.
Exactly. So I was looking at a video actually recently of I'm getting fed like baby content, like all my social media feed.
They know you just had a baby.
Oh,
like two babies.
They're like, you say babies, and it's just like that's all you see. And I was just watching a video of a dad putting his face up to like his child, and they were like both smiling and laughing. And he just put, "I'm a rich man," and I get the chills thinking about that because it's like, gosh, he is a rich man.
Yeah.
He's got this like beautiful connection with his child. And who knows if he has money or not. But in that moment, he felt like the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of wealthy people that don't have good relationships with their family, with their friends, with their teams, whatever it might be. And I've seen kind of some wiser men who are, decades older than me talk about the definition of success for them who are wealthier in their 60s, 70s, and 80s is having great relationships with their adult kids.
Yeah.
They're like, that is wealth.
Yeah.
That is success at this stage, not having more money.
Nope.
You can't take the money with you.
No.
You can't.
You want 2 working hips and 2 working knees and,
That's
kids that call you when they need something.
That's it. That is wealth.
Yeah.
And health. That's amazing. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy this and you want more inspirational content, make sure to click the subscribe button below and click right here to watch what's coming next.